Here we are at the St. Francis Inn in St. Augustine. Beautiful little spot here. Walking inside our apartment. This is a typical bed and breakfast apartment here. Somewhat crowded. Miss Emily's room. Let's see if Miss Emily's in here. Wonder who's in this apartment. There's something going on in the back room. Who's there? Who goes?
Peter.
Oh! Miss Emily, is this your apartment?
Yes, darling.
Okay, out on our veranda. Scenic view of the parking lot and through the neighbors' windows. And overlooking St. Francis. No, this isn't St. Francis. This is one of the adjoining streets.
Anastasia Island, many things you can do over there. The island is 18 miles long, 2 miles wide. The lighthouse over here does not have any elevators. It is one of the few active lighthouses left on the coast, and you can take a tour of that. Just remember, it's 165 feet high, 219 steps. They have a good good restaurant on the property there. They also have 5 other structures you can see in conjunction with that tower there. St. Francis Barracks, left to us by the British as a military barracks, still stands as our National Guard headquarters today for our state and our state army. Now on the right is the oldest house, 1702. The whole city was burned to the ground except for the fort. This is the first structure the Spanish did rebuild. Stood as a single-story structure until 1763. The English took over the town from the Spanish. The Sergeant bought the house here, put the second floor here, door to the street. When they did do that, they used the first floor as a pub. So just coming across from the barracks here into their living room, had a little home away from home. And Mary had a little extra money for her family. If you read the story by Eugenie Price, called Maria, that's where that story took place. Okay, the house on the corner is Spanish. You don't realize it yet, but we show you the statue down there. Spanish only 5 feet high. We can tell you that when we show you Ponce de Leon. Get back in front of that house and see how short the doors are in that structure. Our taller men and women today would have a little trouble walking through there without spring. You will see 3 different museums. Well worth your time. It's probably one of our better historical sites in the city. See how short the door. This is Tobar. Tobar was a sergeant in the Spanish military, not a museum store there. If you're interested in getting in the history of our city, that is a place, best place in the city to get the material, and that is our seat for our St. Augustine Historical Society. These great slaughters for the Spanish. Menendez got over 300 French soldiers down here, and they happened to surrender to him. He brought them up the beach on the other side over there and put them to the sword. He didn't have any place to keep them. Didn't have any food for him, so he was afraid if he brought them back to St. Augustine, they would have come away from him. He put them to the sword, and that's when they started calling this Matanzas River Great Slaughter. Now, folks, before the bridge was over here, they used to have a city pier out here. In those days, they did not have the road out here in front of St Augustine. They didn't put this road out here until 1927 when they did open this bridge here. It approaches to this bridge on your right. In the early days, the seawall did come over here where the parked cars are, all the way down to the port. In the early days, and the pier was out here where you see the statue to your left here. And this green area, this was all water, and the ships could come right up in front of the market here and do their offloading and trade right there in the plaza. Our next stop is the port. Castillo de St. Martin was built for us 1672, 1695. The Spanish kept this port plastered with white plaster. It had two functions. Also should tell you while they plastered that with white plaster, the corner of the port where the guard post was located was plastered red. It had main function was to warn foreign ships that this was Spanish, and if you did not have permission, you were to stay out of here. You weren't to come into the harbor. If you wanted to come in, you would have to stop in deep water, out of the range of the guns, send an emissary in to get permission to come in. You just sailed in on your own, you wanted to visit, wanted to be friendly, they would take it as an act of war and treat you accordingly. Excuse me. Now, flag on the fort is a first period Spanish flag. The flag as you see flying here is a base flag for a Fort Estate flag. We don't have the serrations in our flag like this one does on the cross, but that's what we got the idea. Now Mr. Flagler, when he had the hotel open here, 1888, and he did open the hotel, they started coming down here entertaining at the fort on Saturday nights. Put the dance floor up here, food and drink, bring the dance band down, and have their Saturday night dance parties here. They did have a drawbridge in those days on that gate. You would, midnight, you would raise the bridge. You would not be allowed in the city. You would be made to spend the night with the Indians, mosquitoes, and the Protestants. And they wouldn't load the bridge until daybreak, and that's when you could come into the city. Tried to settle this area 6 times without success. Time went on, and then they finally came in 1565, and then just landed at the foot of the cross to your right, starting St. Augustine. He landed here on September 8th with over 600 men, women, and children. He had the name of St. Augustine when he come ashore here, because it was on that day that he did see the coast of Florida for the first time. It was on the Saints' Day, and he did take that as a sign from God that he should use that name for our town. Now the church here to your right and the cross here on this property were built here in 1965. It was for a centennial that year that President Johnson did come here and did dedicate these 2 items to our city. The Prince of Peace Catholic Church is an active Catholic church. They do have services in it daily, and you're welcome to get off here and check it out if you like. Also, you can go across to the grounds. See the cross and the grounds over here? This cross is 208 feet tall. It's called a Great Cross, the tallest cross in North America. Cross is made out of stainless steel, lighted at night. You can see it up to 25 miles at sea. Across the walkway there is a statue over there to Father Lopez, a Catholic priest who did do a Catholic Mass on that day when Menendez come ashore. 10 most beautiful streets. Now, they don't call this Oak Street. If you look at the street sign, you'll see Magnolia Avenue. Somebody goofed on the naming. There's no magnolias on the street. There is a couple over here in the park, however. Now, this is the Fountain of Youth to your right. The wall around the park here is the tabby wall. This Spanish discovered that if you take oyster shell, sand, and water, you cook that mixture. It will pull lime out of that shell. You get enough lime into the mixture, mix it up, pour it into a frame, allow it to dry. You're going to have yourself a nice wall. Now, folks, when they wanted to use that mixture for floors, they would take the oyster shells and smash them up in little pieces so they could smooth it out pretty well. You go to the oldest house down on St. Francis Street, you'll be able to walk on. be floors. Now folks, this is the Fountain of Youth, the Indian town of Saloy. Beverly here is going to give you some souvenirs of the fountain. You can use the cups to drink the water here.
Thank you.
Okay, Bev. Fountain of Youth is where the Menendez took over the Indian Council House here. He lived with the Indians until they could build their first fort in Hudson here and called it St Augustine, 42 years before Jamestown, 55 years before Plymouth
May I have
County.
your attention, please?
Yeah, this is
Next
pretty
guided
good.
tour will be in the
To drink the water here, they have a planetarium. You can see how they navigated from Spain. They have a globe room where you can see where the Spanish did do exploration throughout the world. Of course, they have a lot of graves open where you can see that, and they're all under buildings and all that, so you can see how the Indians were buried and things like that. So,
This is the cannon from Sophia Loren's movie Pride and Prejudice.
Made in Spain, or it was brought here from Spain. He said something about Spain.
that is a free tour in the museum. Now folks, in 1925, the kids started coming over from the new school, Mr. Spicinger here, and himself a nice cream parlor. If you were a child in those days, if you had a penny, if you come over here to the drugstore, you would have gotten yourself a pencil, paper, and 2 scoops of ice cream. 2 scoops of ice cream today is going to cost you over $1.50. They do feature it every few days. They feature ice cream. It is $1 for 2 scoops. Governor Moore burnt the city to the ground. All the Spanish were up in their new fort. After that, they did wall the city in. That gate was the only entrance to the city. How you do, sir? You need 2 tickets. National monument in the country. And the Spanish, first period of the Spanish here. That flag you see flying here is that first period flag. It did fly over this territory. And when the fort was here, it flew over that, of course, for 198 years. 20 years, the English flag flew over this territory and fort. 17.
Wait till they start again, see if they...
Until he retired in 1924. This time I did stay under the instead of the park services here, but in 1942 they did give it. It's not been here all that long compared to our city since 1927.
Bridge of Lions.
Now the bridge, get a good look at it because you might not see it the next time you come back. They're getting ready to change it. We don't know just how they're going to do that yet, but we have to see that taking place in the near distant future. The bridge does have a function. Those 2 lions over here do not have anything to do with this bridge at all. It is standing there. The bridge takes its name after Ponce de Leon, who's standing at the head of the plaza over here. Ponce de Leon did have the nickname of Prince of Lions. Also, his last name, De Leon, if you translate it into English, does mean of the lion. Statue is right over here. When it's straightened out here, you'll be able to see it standing over here. It is 4'11", that is his actual height. Spanish only grew to be 5 feet high and 40 years old. Come on across,
Tiny,
folks.
good.
There's the statue to your left. That statue is a copy of this statue from San Juan, Puerto Rico, where he was governor. He was sent to the east coast of North America on a fact-finding tour by his team to find good sites for ports and communities so the Spanish could have some permanent bases up here. St. Augustine was only one of those areas he did discover. And then there's the Spanish used to call this Government Street. You come in the main gate, come down to the plaza, and here was Government House to your left. Now, when the United States purchased Florida from the Spanish, they kept both the Spanish capitals open as capitals here. Territorial headquarters until statehood, 1845. They did move the capital from St. Augustine right here to Tallahassee, along with the capital out of Pensacola. We're never used again as a hotel. This building on your right,
Why are they closing?
Mr. Leitner purchased it in 1947, put all his artifacts, brought his museum down from Chicago, put it, installed it back here, gave it all to the city. The city has taken care of this museum since 1948. They do use the front part as the city offices. Now, the statue to your right is Menendez, that's our name giver and city founder. If you're interested in eating lunch in the swimming pool, you can do that here today. They do have the world's largest indoor swimming pool of its time period right here. In the back of the hotel, it looks like your Episcopal church on your right. This is the first Episcopal church and the first Protestant church to be in the U.S. territory of Florida. Before this time, the Spanish would only allow Catholic structures. Woolworth's department store, 1950 lunch counter here is for our antique Woolworths, and it is busy all the time. Now, close to your right is Potter's Wax Museum. You see Forrest Gump, Whoopi Goldberg here. These are recent additions to the collection here. They do have over 170 figures in that place. It is world famous because the clothing and all that.